off the promise I made.
He's putting his body on the line. He's doing what he does best, on the line.
He's undeterred by anything, and he's going to fight through at all costs to win.
He's setting an example for others.
I can't wait to see what's next. The first time I ever saw him box, I asked him, where did you learn how to box? And he said, I've never boxed before. Boyd's got dynamite in both hands, and he's got as much natural boxing ability as anyone I've met. Boyd was a young freshman who had just completed plebe boxing. He was a plebe, a freshman at West Point. And I wondered who this young freshman was who kept hanging around and going to practice, and I never could quite get his name right.
I ended up knocking out the captain of the boxing team. I was a senior and a first day.
And I very quickly knew who he was.
So that's how it started.
The save video alerted to me. Please do what I'm talking about. Or just when you click end, you don't have to press anything. Thank you.
Come June 28th of this year, I'll have been in for 15 years. You know, my life changed significantly. At the end of my junior year at West Point, I was home on leave, and I went out to a dance club, and I met a young woman, she was 19, named Kristen Zaccanino, and she broke her neck when she was 10 years old in a diving accident. Chris and I, we became a couple officially September 22nd of 2004, and we stayed together for almost 5 years, and during that time, her dream of walking again became the only thing that mattered to me in this world. And so it started a whole cascade, and I started getting involved in different circles, learning about cutting edge research. So then one of the circles we got put involved with, in touch with, was at Rutgers University, the WM. And since 2008, he'd been working on his own clinical trial.
So nobody is treating long-term chronic spinal cord injury. We have found a therapy that restores walking, bowel and bladder function in such patients. More than half of our patients are walking. They can pee and poop on their own. And the data looks promising, and therefore we're proposing worldwide phase 3 trials.
So Dr. Young needed to raise funds for this trial. He needed to get FDA approval. So the brain started twisting. I said, so you need to raise funds. When I was an amateur, because of how I look, I stood out, and because I was successful. When I was an amateur, with being successful and then being mixed between black and white, being light-skinned, being Jewish, being a West Point, being an officer, I used to draw a lot of attention. So if I can do the same thing in the pros, and I have a message to give out, we need to raise funds for this, same thing could happen, I believe. So that was my idea.
You know, I was shocked when he said he was going to turn pro and he's going to box to raise money. I said, come on.
And my very first purse I donated was $1,500.
Spinal cord injury has not been on the forefront of the American public for more than 10 years now. We need to bring it back. And look, this is not talking about a lot of money. After all, spinal cord injury currently costs more than $20 million per year just to support the people who are now spinal injured. We spend less than $60 million on all of spinal cord injury research. We need to bring spinal cord injury into the mainstream of medicine. Hope is the number one item that we have to have on the table before we progress. And right now, there's no hope. If this trial can provide hope, it will open doors for many other therapies to come.
I'm going to keep doing this until I don't feel that calling anymore, because I need Kristen to walk, and I believe this is the best way to keep inspiring her and others.
Boyd has given of himself for this cause in a way that this is true service. This is service to humankind. And he's doing this because he really cares.
What's so wonderful about this is putting all this energy with the main drive being to help one person, help the mass.
And the impact that he's having on lives, to have the vision to say, I'm going to be a professional boxer and I'm going to donate 100% of my purses to charity. That's unbelievable. What a leader of character for our nation. And he's a young captain and I sit on the reserve.
I need Kristen to walk. She still can't walk. So that's when I'll have my moment. That's really all it is. It's all that matters. I know this is gonna work. I already see the space. It's gonna work. I just have to go through the motions to get to that space.
It's something that's curable, and we need to do it.
I often wonder when we're older in this world, in our lifetimes, if we look back and say we were part of the time when our world was able to cure paralysis.
Are you guys ready? Yeah. Are you ready? Yes. I hope you guys brought an umbrella because we have Boyd, the Rainmaker Melson, in the room. Now, my name is Israel Masalo and I serve as one of the leadership staff on the Veterans at Workday Employee Belonging Council. Today, we are excited to have Major Boyd Melson in our presence today. Boyd is a retired professional boxer with a stellar athletic career, a true fighter in every sense of the word. A man who is led by his ideals with a long resume of accomplishments. This man is a 3-time United States Army champion, a 3-time All-American, a 4-time West Point Brigade Open Boxing champion. He was selected as an alternate to the 2008 U.S. Olympic boxing team. Boyd gained national attention for having donated all his earnings to the advancement of spinal cord research, and he has been profiled on Real Sports with Brian Gumbel, ESPN, Sports Illustrated, Yahoo, the Huffington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and New York's own 105.1, The Breakfast Club. He retired with a professional career or professional record of 15 wins and 2 losses. In 2018, he was inducted into the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. Today, Boyd is here to share his personal story on embracing diversity, overcoming adversity, and showing how to harness your inner warrior spirit through love. With that, please join me in giving a warm welcome to the stage, Boyd, the Rainmaker Melson.
Harness your inner warrior spirit with love. I'm stealing that. That just like stopped me in my tracks when you said that, brother. That is beautiful. Thank you. I hope I can try to live up to that. So I'm going to start. Thank you all for being here with me to begin with, watching that video. It's interesting what I go through. Every single time I watch that, it alters whatever I'm feeling before I step into that moment of watching it. And it usually dictates the flavor of whatever tone it sets me in, regardless of what I thought I was going to present. Who I am when I step up here after watching, it always seems to change. I'm going to open this up, before I get into me, by challenging you guys with a question, a thought-provoking one. I shared this with Israel earlier. and I really want you to think about this. The concept of rain and a storm. So the Rainmaker is my nickname, and I'll get into where that came from soon. But the concept of rain, I challenge you. You know, one raindrop starts a whole storm. But how many raindrops do you need to qualify it as a storm? Is it the 100th raindrop? The 1,000th? The 1st? Does a certain amount of wind have to be blowing while the rain's coming down? Who wrote the book on what is a storm? How many raindrops do you need to make a storm? I'm going to circle back to that. And my answer doesn't mean that's the right answer, but it's my answer. Since you have to listen to me speak, you have to hear my answer. We'll get back at the end. So we have a group here right now. We have what I was informed, outside of human beings who live with love, we have those that volunteered at a time to serve in uniform in the armed forces in our nation. We have those that have had either direct interactions with people who have physical challenges or mental challenges, or they themselves have it. And we have people of color. It is Black History Month. So what's not immediately obvious is that, well, what is obvious is I am of color. It's just a light color, right? But my daddy's Louisiana Creole. So my daddy was born in Louisiana, in New Orleans, and Louisiana Creole is a mix of African, European, and the natives who lived here first. It's like the Beyonce, if you ever hear she puts the word Creole in some of her songs, it's the light-skinned black with the light eyes. I'm jealous of all my cousins because of the contrast that they have. And my mama, who served in uniform in the U.S., and my father, my daddy served 26 years, my mama is from Israel, and her parents are Holocaust survivors. So what went into the creation of this? We had one side finding a way to survive hatred and slavery so that generations could exist up until my father came. And then I have another side that survived attempted genocide. Real close. My mother's parents survived that. So I have slavery and genocide attempted that formed me. And I think that helps me understand my own values to a much greater extent. I once heard a gentleman phrase something. He was telling me about why he chose to do something, and he said, I do it because my values command me. Think about that word, command. And a lot of us, we don't like to think we're victims. We're active people. We make choices that try to affect what's happening around us. So when we hear the word command, it could be an initial onset that you want to get defensive about it. But what if it's you who's commanding you and your own values? And it's a scary thing along with that, because sometimes we may have all these values and we say it out loud, but when we're by ourselves and we reflect on certain things, we may see we didn't stay in alignment with our own values. And we may also see the universe brings us something that may be extremely nasty and ugly at that moment. And we become a slave to that, and we release our hold to our own values. Y'all know what I'm saying by that? Sometimes something is brought to you, and you're this person, and you know who you are, but something about this stimuli brought you out of who you are. And all of a sudden, your values didn't command you. Makes you want to think about what things you do choose to allow to command you. The only way you go through that is by living enough. So I was thinking about a centralized topic as well. You know, I have this girl that I once fell in love with who can't walk. And that word disability, I stopped using that for the most part. Sometimes I catch myself, it actually comes out, but I heard someone once phrase it as different ability. And I learned firsthand what makes them different. People who have a disability. You know what makes them different? They hope when we stop hoping. They believe when we quit. They've learned how to suffer. They suffer so bad that you just being next to them and you loving them makes you cry. But somehow they smile. And then you kind of look at yourself and you're like, shoot, what do I really have to be on myself about? The meticulousness. See, when you're in a wheelchair, From the moment you wake, even before you wake, that night before you go to sleep, you have to start planning what your day is going to be hour to hour, because you can't overcompensate. If I'm in a chair and I need someone to help me and I'm a mile away from home and damn, I forgot something, I can't just get and go back the way you and I could. I have to plan everything. I have to plan my days around when someone's going to be around me to help me pee. Every day. Every day. Imagine that attention to detail. Life survival. Every day you have to plan. Imagine what they could do with that attention to detail and apply it to anything. Which then leads me, which I've learned by being with Kristen, and I learned this also because when I was 24, I took Kristen to China to have a stem cell procedure, and we went in this hospital, just her and me. It looked like something out of Kung Fu the Legend. Swear to God it did. But the care inside was it was incredible. And you have people from all different countries with Lou Gehrig, spinal cord injury, dementia, from different countries speaking different languages. And we're in this ward. And every day somebody new is getting a procedure done. The same procedure, stem cells being injected, either in the frontal lobe of their brain or in their spinal cord. And every day all we had, and I was 24 and she was 22, and all we had was going from room to room with whatever way we could communicate and trying to see, are you getting any better? Do you feel any difference, any change? We didn't get those questions answered, but you'd see that person the next day, whoever they were, still trying to live their life. Some of them couldn't communicate, even if they knew the language that I spoke, because of whatever's challenging them. But you could sense this energy about what if from them, because if you leave your own country, pay so many dollars to give yourself a chance at hope, and you're not afraid. You're also not afraid about what may happen if it doesn't work. Those are incredible type humans that we're never going to really understand until we have to live it ourselves. I say those are our living mutants. People that have had to suffer, and not only suffer in like first world problems. People that have had to suffer because of life thrown on them. People who recognize that what they see does not necessarily mean what is, because they live it. You got people of color here. Are you your color? You got people who are veterans here. Were you born a veteran? You got people with challenges on them. Did you ask for that? No. But this world we live in, that's what we see. We walk up, oh, this guy's got glasses. What do I know about people with glasses? Let me figure out everything I know about him. I'm going to sign all that to him right there. Oh, this person's bald. Wait, I've seen some commercials. I know about people bald. I know what to sign to him. This person, I got it. Oh, this person's Asian. Wait, I know what's going on in Asia. I hear it on the news. I know what's going on, right? All these things. You know what that tells me? Anyone here remember what Kobe Bryant, one of his last things, the things that he keeps repeating every time they show clips? The question he always does, the challenge to everybody. Be curious. Be curious. Wonder why he's wearing glasses. Wonder why he sits with his legs crossed while he's talking to me. Don't figure out why without knowing a darn thing besides the snapshot I'm getting at this moment. That's almost like me, I'm going to use the word, I always say Polaroid, but that dates me. That's like me looking at a picture. Thank you for laughing. That's like me looking at a picture, right? I see one moment. I look at a picture, and I tell you every single thing about this person's life that's in the picture. Their past, their history, how they like, what they like to eat, how the music they like to listen to, everything, because of this picture. And then I go watch SportsCenter, and I hear Kobe say, be curious. I'm like, yeah, I'm curious. Really? What are you living, dude? Or female? Right? Curious. So I was telling Israel when I was coming in, and I was going for a run the other day, and this one popped in my head. You know, growing up mixed, it's hard. It's freaking hard. You have no idea where to fit in. It sucks. You got some friends that touch into part of your personality and your spirit and your core, but they don't completely saturate you. And then the part that's missing, you got another group that fits into that, but they leave out all that other stuff. And like you can speak the jive a little bit here, but you got to sound like this while you're talking here, and you don't know what to do. And then you got to tell people you're this and get judged. It's hard. And this is what popped in my head. And I think it sums up everything right here. Sums up as far as the group, the demographic in here. This is not me. This, whatever, my class ring, this around my wrist, this shirt, even the skin is not me. My body is not me. And if you can't see that, even if you're a foot in front of me, then you have to get your eyes checked. Can't you see kindness is me? Can't you see I'm going to welcome you and hold you and try to help you be happy? Don't you see that? Don't you want to find out? Did you forget when we were children how we questioned everything? Y'all see that commercial that always plays on CNN of little children just popping off with tons of questions of everyday life, and you hear a child's innocence, and nobody watch this? Does anyone watch CNN here? Yes? My alone thing, all right. So did you watch, yes for watching CNN or yes for seeing the commercials or both? Yeah, so it's curious, like silly questions that were all our questions ones. Why? Like how many times if someone's nasty to you during the day, real nasty, uncalled for, does curiosity grasp you and you ask yourself, I wonder what's happening in their day to make them speak to me this way? That's something you got to practice. That's hard. You don't just flip it, hey, I'm this person every time. No, you got to practice it. Practice your perception, your perspective, your curiosity. Wonder when you see somebody in a wheelchair, what else can they do that I can't? What have they learned that I haven't learned yet? What can I learn from them? What can somebody who's existed on this planet for X amount of years with that challenge offer that I have no idea about to allow me to grow and evolve? What have I learned from my buddy? Because where I grew up, everyone looks like me. I'm making this up, but this applies to somebody. Where I grew up, everyone looks like me, but now my buddy just went to the Army, and I know in the Army you got people from all parts of the country, and now he's back. Am I going to be curious? Say, what was it like serving? And let's say I'm Hispanic. What was it like serving with people who are white? There's nobody white around here. What are they like? What makes them excited? Are they honest? Do they care about people? Do they greet you with warmth? And what about people who are darker than us? What are they like? I know you served. Or, when they come back, is the first thing, and let's say I was in an environment that everybody thinks or believes they know because we're all about blankets and because we met one person or heard about one person, it applies to all. Or am I going to be that person, and am I going to come back and say, when they come back, it must have been horrible serving with X, or must have been horrible serving with Y. They're like this, they're like that, they're like that. Who are you going to be? And it goes back again. This is not me. And it's hard to live that way because it's humanistic. Look, we're here for two things. I say everything, every organism. Two innate aspects. Procreation and survival. Every time we judge, it's so that we think we are safe. Safe not relatively, but safe because we would know how to behave. So I throw this on out. If you have a room of 2 rooms, 100 people in each room, one room, I tell you, every single person in there is a criminal. This other room, 50 people are criminals, 50 are not. Which room do you want to go in? I promise you, the grand majority, without knowing, but I'm just going to promise. It kind of defeats I'm promising. You're going to want to go in the room with all criminals because you know how to behave. Even if you've never been in a room with criminals. You know how to try to take care of yourself because you know what's there. So that whole judgment, why, when we look at this, we have to associate every single thing we've ever experienced. We're almost always living in our past, if you think about it. Every moment I see something in my mind, the synapses flow, and I have to associate something I've experienced with so I feel comfortable and safe around this. So I lose my curiosity so I can feel safe. When really, if we grabbed our self with a powerful magnetic energy, we'll look at everything and wonder and realize asking questions to better inform is what helps you become safe. Asking the veteran, what was it like being away from your family, helps you empathize. Even if you've never, because I bet, even if it hasn't been to a combat zone, you've had to be away from your family even for a day, right? Or to volunteer for something. Just ask, be curious. Recognize everyone you see, every single human alive you see, this is not who they are. This is not ever who they are. When I close my eyes, I cannot see my skin, but I'm still here. That's who I am. How I hold you is who I am. How I look in your eyes when I talk to you is who I am. How I shake your hand is who I am. When I pick up the phone in the middle of the night, even if it's 2 a.m. for you, that's who I am. And if you can't see that, just stay away until you can. Go experience life. Go suffer. There's something we have about this commitment to our own perspectives and our own perception. When you commit so hard to that, you block your own ability to show compassion. And I think what we're afraid of when we show compassion is it leads to empathy. And we don't want to live hurting for others. We have enough to hurt for ourselves. But I believe that the people that forget that we're balls of energies inside physical sources that we didn't choose to be in, and we're all connected. And not a single one of us can remember when we weren't here. Can you remember when you weren't here? I've always been aware. I don't remember not being aware. It's a whole bunch of awarenesses. I say if you take Shaquille O'Neal and Tyrion Lannister, and you go 100 feet up and look down, they're both dots. Right? It's a dot. What do we have, 8 billion people now? 8 billion dots. And what's amazing, they're all scattered and moving. Any one of those dots can love something and care about something so much that it changes every other dot. It crosses into their universe, but we're all living in separate ones. I saw Kristen do things and react to things at this age when I'm still developing, in my early 20s, that have shaped every single moment of my life that I've lived up to now. And I didn't realize it was happening while it was happening. And looking back now, I realize many of us don't realize that moment that is the shift when you're at the fulcrum, when it's right at the top and it's about to go one way. We don't realize it until we look back. And I've come to learn, the day I realized partly what I believe I was put here for was June 22nd, 2002, when I met this girl, but I didn't know it. And I didn't know all the things I was going to go through with her, how they would allow me to try to help inspire love in others years later, or allow me to embrace suffering in a way I never had before. Suffering, like physical trauma to me in the sport I chose to be in. I've realized many of the things that I have attached myself to try to help and improve this world with, I've never actually suffered from myself. I used to run these boxing clinics for free for recovering opiate addicts on Staten Island for a year and a half. I didn't have that issue. I had both of my parents. I had my father when I was growing up too. I was a mentor at the Steve Harvey Youth Mentorship Camp. 200 boys, 11 through 18, without daddies in their lives. I had my daddy. I do a lot of work with youth. I grow up in tough areas. I didn't have to grow up in a tough area. And I do a lot of work with veteran suicide population. As far as I know, I didn't have that challenge myself. I thank my parents, and I thank that little thing you saw in that video. The experience that she gave me for all those years, just not giving up and just believing and learning how to see energy. Learning how to see energy, and it starts through their eyes. You see everything in there. Even stuff they don't know is there. And then what do you do with it? How am I doing on time here, brother? I only have 2 minutes. I'm going to eat a little bit more than that. All right, guys. I'm going to close this on out here. We're telling the story of the eagle and how an eagle's life is destined for loneliness. And I'm going to explain. And it's a made-up story, so just bear with me. I was like, well, how can an eagle talk to you when you understand? It's a made-up story, all right? Thank you. Gotcha. It was a metaphor. So, the Rainmaker brings hope. In all traditions, all cultures, all times, hope. That's what a Rainmaker is supposed to bring. When there's drought, when the heat's the hottest, everything brings hope. Rainmaker brings light. But I come to learn I wasn't always what I believe I am. And it doesn't mean I still am, even though I believe it. But in my mind, because what's real in our minds is real, I believe I am. And I tried to live in alignment with that. But I wasn't always, and I was searching. And I didn't know what I was searching for. And then one day, one of my buddies came to me and told me, I think I know how you can get what you want. And I'm ride or die with you. And I said, well, what do you know? He said, I know that you're trying to get that glow. You always talk about it. And I looked at him and I said, you mean like Bruce Leroy? And some of you may not get that reference. So, yeah. I said, and I know you want that glow because I keep seeing you want to bring hope. So I got to tell you, I met this eagle. And I noticed this eagle was alone all the time. And one time I went up to him and I asked him, this is my boy, and I asked, why are you always alone? And the eagle said, I wasn't always alone. Well, what happened? Well, I wasn't always alone because I didn't dream big enough yet. And then somebody once told me the trick of how to dream so big that you can change the weather. Well, how do you do that? I asked him. And I said, because I have my buddy who's me. I have my buddy that's been trying to do that for some time, and he doesn't know how. And the eagle told my boy, he said, tell your friend, there's one way to get that glow. You got to go to the sun. When the sun lights you up, you can change the weather. Okay. So, I made the choice. I told my boy, just get to the sun, that's all it is. He said, yeah, and he said, but I got to tell you one thing the eagle told me. The higher up you go, the more lonely it's going to get. Now, I'm with you, but it's going to get lonely. I'm with you because I love you, and you're going to go, I'm going to go. But it gets lonely. And he said, that voice to get up there, to get his glow so he could start changing the weather is the reason why he's been alone for so long. Got it? For me, I'm competitive. Is it hard? I hope it's hard, because that makes me want to do it more. Is it hard to get up there? Because I'm flying. I'm going. My boy said, all right, then let's go do it. And then I said, okay, I'm going to do it, but I need to know, do you want this because you want it, not because I want it? And he said, yeah, I do. I said, are you sure? You say ride or die, and I get it. But are you sure? Because I know how high up that sun is. And I know what we're going to have to go through to get there. And then there's stuff I don't even know. Are you sure you see it the way I see it? Because I can't help you when we get to a certain point. Because all I care about is getting that glow. Because I need to be able to bring hope. My boy said he's down. I said, all right. So we took off. We went straight up. We're going up, and it's cool, and he's right by me. And I even looked at him ahead of time, and I said, make sure your wings are good and you're strong. I know you lean on me at times, but there's going to come a time you may not be able to lean on me here. So we're good? He said, yeah, I'm good. So we're going. And we're going, and it's clear, and it's fine. And then slowly we go up high enough, and the weather starts to change. It starts to get real cold. And our wings start to freeze. And my boy starts complaining a little bit, but I say, just hold strong. We're going. Don't worry. Stay by me. I can help you. Where we're on out, I can help you. We're going to reach this. You just got to keep seeing it with me. You got to keep seeing it with me. See it like it's your own, like you need it to live. See it. He said, I see it. Stop yelling at me. I said, all right. So we go up. He works through. Knocks the little ice off of there. We do the same thing. And then the raindrops start. And part of me in the back of myself, man, I must be stuck in somebody else's storm right now. If the rain is coming, and maybe I am. I don't know what their purpose of their storm is, but I just have to stay focused on going up. And so we start going a little higher, and then all of a sudden I hear my voice start to say, and I had a feeling this was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. He was going to say to me, I don't know if I can keep going with you. It's getting hard to breathe. The air's starting to get thin. And I looked at him, I said, I told you, make sure you were ready for this. I told you it was going to get hard. I told you you had to see it. See it not because I want it, because you want it. See it not because it helps me live, but because it helps you live. I told you. And he said, I'm trying. I said, don't give up, let's go. But straight up is the only way. We have to get to our goal. That's our vision. You got to see it. And he looks at me and he said, I'm trying, but I'm telling you right now, I don't think I can manage. He tried to grab for my claw, and I said, brother, I love you, but get off me. I got to get up there. You know what I use these for. I'll use them on you if you don't get out of my way. Get off me. Dreams have casualties. Don't you ever forget this. You're going to kill people you love, not purposely or purposefully. Sometimes purposefully, so you can achieve what you need to. But don't you ever forget, people you love, certain forms of relationships with them die if you go up high enough. And so I looked at my boy here and I thought to myself, as I'm still going, I think I'm about to lose my brother. Because his vision isn't as strong as mine. And I get it. When you go up higher, there's less oxygen, right? There's less air. When there's less air, your senses start to fade, right? Like your hearing and your vision, everything starts to fade. You start thinking you're going to die. Sometimes I think it's not about how strong you are to handle whatever's being thrown at you. It's how strong you were, how set you were before you started to bring it on. What was your foundation before you decided to go up? Don't hope you can deal with it. So we kept going. And before I knew it, he was gone. That's him. His vision was to support me. And I thanked him with my heart as he dropped on down because he needed to survive for trying to take the ride from me. But I learned along with this, as I'm still going, I'm going to end up sacrificing some of my people because they want to try to ride with me, but they don't see it the way I do. So So I'm going up and I'm going up and I'm going up, and the cold's starting to turn to heat, and it's starting to burn my skin, and I'm starting to feel like I'm going to be the Human Torch, and I'm going to just out of nowhere light up on fire. And I tell myself as I'm going up, because my vision, I just want to change this weather so I can help people suffering. And I need to glow. And I'm all alone. And I had my ride or die with me, but he couldn't ride with me, so he died. And was it worth it? I don't know yet, but let me get there first. And my skin's starting to burn, because all of a sudden I'm going up higher. It's starting to get warmer. It's starting to get warmer. And now I'm having doubts. But then I hear this voice inside me say, Boyd, that burning on your inside for this has to be stronger than the heat on the outside. You have to burn for it more than your inside than your skin burns on the outside. Because I started burning and I wanted to quit. It was more important for me to survive than to reach my goal. And I had to make a choice. What do I want? And that choice time comes often. What do we want? What do we want? And what are we willing to suffer through to get it? And I remember I said, as I'm still shooting up and I'm starting to burn, I said, I gotta glow. And then all of a sudden, as I said it, the outside started glowing. It wasn't burning, it was glowing because my inside was burning so strong. Because I just needed to get there. I need Kristen to walk. I needed to get there. And then before I knew it, all of a sudden, I was glowing. And then I heard a voice tell me, and I was all alone in the sun. And then I heard a voice tell me, you did it. Now go take your light, your glow. Create your own damn storm. So that your friend down there that fell off, help him find his light so he can make it up. Be the raindrop. So to answer the question that I came up with myself. If a raindrop represents hope, then that first sometimes is the last. Because all you need is one to believe. When you believe, when you just have one that believes, that's how magic happens. People walk that aren't supposed to be able to. There may be a lot of raindrops in between, but when you believe and hope strong enough that one will also be the last. Because it will still be there when the other ones have evaporated. Be the raindrop because you only need one for a storm. But first is the last. You just need a little ounce of hope. Hope is a hell of a drug. It gets you to do crazy things for a girl, like to become a professional boxer just to donate what you earned because you love them.
All right. All right, now we have about 5 minutes for question and Q&A, so we can pass around the box, and also we have people online as well to be able to take people's questions. Any questions?
Be alert. There you go.
All right. First, hello. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. First, thanks for coming out, man. You're super inspiring, and I'm getting this energy from you. I'm way back here. I'm like, man, this brother right here. I'm ready to go. Y'all ready to go? I'm ready to go. So, quick question. What made you? What made you feel like I get the glow? You got the glow. What made you feel like you truly had relinquished that imposter syndrome, or you've thrown off some of the things that were basically holding you back from getting to the point where you are now to be able to tell your story as inspirationally as you have?
First, thank you, brother. What's your first name?
Daryl.
Daryl, and Boyd is my first name.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you from a distance. So, I still don't know if I have, but I don't spend time thinking about that because it detracts from what I can try to do to live my purpose, I believe. And my purpose, I believe, is to vibrate at a frequency that emits a light that makes you want to be inspired and curious about how bright your own light can be. Nothing about me. It took me, oh, thank you. It took me some time to learn that about myself. I think I started feeling it, I don't remember when, maybe it was when I was deployed all of 2018, so you got a lot of time to think. And I started realizing immediately when somebody were to say to me, it's pretty neat what you did, or cool what you did, it transitioned in my mind, okay, well, how did that help you do it better yourself? Like, just immediately. I'm going to be 40 in a year in a pregnancy. So, it's nice. You want to say those things? I was like my 20s, and early 30s. That doesn't prepare the future generation coming up. And I'm not the future. So I don't need to hear these things. I want to see these boys at the Steve Harvey camp. So when I noticed when somebody would say something and that immediate flip, I guess, at least that was my own evolution, but I still sometimes, at times, am I living up to the person that I speak myself to be? I think about that often, and I fall short often. And I admit it, and I say it out loud. Listen, let me tell you the power about saying stuff out loud. When you have thoughts in your head, and you're trying to make a decision about something, voice and pack it with as much details as you can. Because you can't skip words when you hear it, and so you say it out loud because you have to hear it. Case in point, I say this all the time. So let's say, oh, is it okay we're going over time with this right now?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So let's say you're back in high school and you had like 2 months to study for a test. You're like, I'm just going to pull an all-nighter that last night, right? I'm pulling an all-nighter, I'm going to get it done. And you mean it. And if you pull the all-nighter, let's assume you're going to do well. And 30 minutes into it, one of your boys or one of your girls or your significant other calls as they want to see you. And instantly, you start rationalizing how you can still do well on this test with just having trained for 30 minutes. Say that sucker out loud. Be like this. So, and like pack it with lots of details. So, I was given an exam 2 months ago. I was given a study date 2 months ago. I told myself I was going to wait all night for it. I'm going to add even more background to it. This test that I'm taking is very important for this class because the college I want to go to is looking at this. And they're offering to give me a scholarship if I do well in this one. And my parents struggled all the time with me growing up. And they don't have the money for it, but they're going to try and it'll put a lot of stress on them, so they're counting on me for this. So I'm going to stay up all night. Now I just got to this point. I've been half an hour studying for something I know that's going to take a whole night to study. And I'm going to say that I have studied enough so I can go hang out with and do what I want, hang out with my friends. And I'm even going to go tell my mother, guess what I'm doing now, Mama? I'm not going to spend more time studying now because it's more important for me to hang out with my friends than to do well on this test so I get a scholarship to get into college so you don't have to pay. Imagine we were that honest. I do that stuff by myself. You say, well, I just say stuff out loud to hear because you can't skip words. You can't compromise. If you leave it in your head, you compromise. You make it sound like what you want it to sound like. Right? Say it out loud. Even by yourself. Sometimes I catch myself like when I'm walking on the streets in Brooklyn, I don't realize people are behind me and I'm talking to myself out loud. And I look like, damn, they probably think I'm crazy or whatever. But it helps me. Say it out loud. I think that helps with the imposter part too. And I am an imposter. I live as an imposter at times. I am human. I fall short. I try, but I admit it. And that helps my evolution, I believe. Next question. Did I answer it for you?
Yeah, that was it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, one more.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
What's up, Ivan? I'm Boyd.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
What's your advice to those who are searching for that thing that will make them glow, or search for that glow, that level? Because I mean, like, I don't know if everyone's had that choice encounter where they see, okay, you know, this is what's going to give my life purpose, to where I need to have the internal drive to go to the sun, even though there's a storm and everything else in the way, and that can't be kind of taken on half-heartedly. And I don't know. It's just like I asked them. Yeah, my question is like, what's your advice to those who are looking for that thing that's going to make them work hard enough or have enough internal drive and fortitude to persist through all those other things for that purpose?
Thank you for asking, Ivan. How old are you, Ivan?
22.
So I'd say it's all right if you don't know for a long time. Promise you that. Thank you. I just learned so I could articulate it, but I've been living it but not even realizing it. I spend a tremendous amount of time going back over my experiences, and a tremendous amount of time. And not so much trying to understand how I felt during it, which I also do, but trying to really get into the minds of whoever shared it with me, how they were affected, and wondering why. And I've spent a lot of time doing that to try to find patterns. For what things do I seem to keep finding myself in situations, and how do I seem to react, and what's the effect of that reaction on the person I'm with over and over and over again. So it's interesting, like I met a girl who's paralyzed and fell in love with her. Doesn't have anything to do with opiates, doesn't have anything to do with veteran suicide, whatever. But what that helped teach me, those values that commanded me, the values that commanded me, it taught me how much I just care about the human condition. So as I've looked back now, like it took me a long time to figure out the words for my purpose. And a big part for me was how can I have a purpose? I believe in helping people, but I don't want it to be about I. That was how. And so I started looking over and thinking about the different populations. I looked by going over my experiences, going over when I'm alone and quiet and saying it out loud what I viewed. And I started going and looking through the different things. And for my own personal story, I started noticing how I just never seem to want to, it hurts me when people are hurting. It hurts like I'm being hit. It hurts. Especially when they're being beaten down by life. It hurts. So I have a very hard, my values that come in, I have to help and be involved the best I can. And then I started seeing this light in people when I come over as a child to them. I'm a big ass child. So I go over to them with that, and then I started seeing the reaction from them, and I would see them smile even for a moment. And that's when, and life's really a lot about moments. So that's how I found, by going over, always. I spend a lot of times, I have certain songs. I always, when I go through something of significance in life, I usually, if I'm around music, I try to put it on because I want to attach the song to that moment. This is what I believe happens. When we're passionate about something, and it's something that can be removed from us over time, we forget our why. So what I practice doing, and it's a little masochistic, right? That's when you hurt yourself. Yeah. I have certain songs that I listen to that triggers my eye ducts so I could cry, because I never want to forget why I chose to do certain things, no matter how much time has passed. So I have certain songs or certain movies that I trigger, and they pay a toll on me emotionally. You know, Chris and I haven't been together as a couple since 2009. I started that in 2010. We don't have much communication anymore, so I'm not around somebody who's paralyzed. Oh, we got FDA approval for that clinical trial, so y'all know. We just have to finish raising the money. It's using umbilical cord cells directly in the spinal cord. That was a little tangent. Yeah, thank you. I just lost my train of thought.
Let's give Boyd a round of applause. All right, just wanted to let you guys know on your way out, we also have pizza available for you guys to take up. So thank you very much for coming.
And listen, any veterans here? Just one? Oh, we have a lot? So, side note, and this is separate to this. So, I work for my brother's veterans consulting firm. My brother is the LeBron James of getting veteran service connected. If you have an appeal, he's helped about 1,000 veterans over the last 4 years get service connected dating back to World War II. He's the go-to for the whole Naval Special Warfare Command on Coronados, the Navy SEALs. He went down to Mexico. 2 veterans that were deported were the first 2 repatriated. They did there's a movie on documentary on Showtime called Ready for War that chronicles them. He represents them, got 1 of them, all their benefits returned to their family. He's on 4 continents, representing veterans. Let me help you if you're a veteran and you believe your percentage should be up. And even if you don't believe it should be up, going through this process is very important because us veterans are like a union. So if we're a union, you go through the process, it empowers us because that's one more voice. So please, this is for your family. There's also a lot of benefits if you hit certain percentages people aren't aware of that are for your family. So please let me help you if you want to come to me. After on a side note there, or you can just come to me for anything. It doesn't matter. I mean, I may be able to help you with anything we can come on. Try. Guys, I really appreciate y'all listening.